but what was your vision for Ultimate Alliance 2? Because the game does end with another cliffhanger with Galactus, wanting to come back after, the heroes defeated him. And you mentioned you wanted Wanda to play a role, possibly House of M. How would have all that fit in your vision?
Yeah, so I was a huge House of M fan. Like huge. Like the fact that Wolverine was the one that was like, yeah, we gotta kill her. To like so that was huge influence. And as always, I was like, okay, we can't just do a ripoff of a comic book because that's not what people want. They want an original story. So what we had hoped, and of course we had wanted the Galactus thing was like, okay, he's one of the most powerful beings in the universe. So how can we set this up? And what we wanted to do was just like use Wanda, use the kind of start of House of M, where like basically she's starting to again distort reality. I love that part of, like I said, I love that kind of like alternate what if reality thing. And we weren't sure where we were going to go with it yet, but simply like we had written up some synopsis that it was going to be House of M. It ends up with Scarlet Witch and this huge battle between Scarlet Witch, Galactus at the end, and inside her mind, she basically uses her mind, and
That
then
sounds so great. I'm
and
sorry
then
to cut you
she
off.
no, you're great. And then she pulls, of course, all the Marvel heroes in for this final battle, and they have to convince her. And I was like, I just want a scene where I still wanted the scene where like at the end we talked about like, does Wolverine still have to like potentially kill her? Does like she knows she's gonna sacrifice herself, and that once she's created this reality, the only way to get rid of it is to like kill her. So, anyways, we weren't sure where, but that's what we wanted. That the only one that could possibly take on Galactus is some kind of reality warping, you know, Wanda, and yeah, and just the idea that like all the Avengers, because the point was is like we could now with alternate reality, with the story was like, hey, we can start screwing with stuff. Like she thinks she's containing it, we think we're containing her. We have to actually almost keep her alive because Galactus is coming, but then schisms in reality start happening. So we're going to start pulling in totally weird storylines from all these different, like have characters that like would not normally show up in Earth 616 or whatever. I don't know the Earth. I'm not
No,
as
you got
geeky.
that 616. You got it.
Okay. Pull different timelines basically into it. And it could just, the amount of places we could go, like
Yeah.
in our standard kind of act structure, I was like, dude, she could take us anywhere we wanted to go. So that's where in our heads we would have gone. Just something again, huge and grand, where the first one was about Doom and him manipulating the Earth. We wanted Wanda to be like, no, this is the Marvel universe being ripped apart at its seams, and suddenly like all these different timelines interjecting. And meanwhile, Galactus is this big threat coming. So yeah, that's where we were headed with it.